right, everybody, let's get settled in on a Thursday. Welcome on back. Great to be here. Come on in, chat. Great to see everybody today. What's going on? Hold it. Let me load you up. Make sure I'm following. We're online. Looking good. Let me crank up some levels here. All right. Great to see everybody. Settle in. Hey, everyone, get over to harmonictrader.com. That is your total harmonic pattern experience. And then again, the free 2-week trial to the software. Get that now. Next Thursday, we're doing a big strategy session. Okay, so we'll start pretty tight to 12:30-ish and go for a good hour and a half, 2 hours. We're going to look at what's happened and what we can really anticipate between now and the end of the year. So that's an open session here. Just hit like, subscribe, get the notifications so you know when we go online. But for the trial, send your TradingView username to hpc@sr-analyst.com. You guys know the rest. Great to see you. Let's get right into it. I want to talk Bitcoin to start. And, I think we have to start looking at Bitcoin as starting to give this thing enough time. How much more time do we need to give Bitcoin? I would say we are definitely running out of time if we're going to get the move. Still, we're stuck at 108. You guys know 111's the number. But what are the possibilities? Been stuck in this 10,000 point range really since we first tested. Well, you can go all the way back here. I mean, we brushed up against it, and that was the beginning of the year. Incredible. And this is the whole range. The entire range for this year, it doesn't seem like that, but 75 on the low side and 125 as the recent peak. And so where are we? We're not even like halfway through. If we're going to retrace the year's range or whatever, it just doesn't want to do it right now. And the rest of crypto, it just remains lock solid Arctic cold. Here's our deal with on the daily. And again, I think going into this weekend, the best thing would be to just essentially get into November already. But I'm watching signals, which is right now the immediate green line check back. That's just a daily area. We're looking for oversold opportunity. That's 107. It relates to retesting this low from mid-October. 106 was the low. 107.2 is that open area. But scraping it, right? We almost, and incredibly, what I was looking for was like a 111. This is just in the last, that's that whole range from the last month, but a rebound up to 118, 117.5. We got to 116.5. And the only other thing that is probably new, it was official on Tuesday night. It was completing as we were talking here 48 hours ago, but no doubt, HSI has gotten overbought again on the daily, no less. On the daily, no less. That wasn't official until Tuesday evening. Yet here we are. So great to see everybody. Come on in. You guys are still kind of maybe getting back from lunch. I don't know. Tell me what you want to see. I'm happy to look at anything that's moving. Really, any coin or any, I want trending. You guys know how I feel about that. But we got to talk about this, and then pretty much, what about the rest of crypto? If Bitcoin here is just kind of floundering at 107, 108, then what are possibilities underneath here? Because you cannot, I really personally don't think you can go any lower than where you are literally right now. So 107's just, you're scraping the floor and you're not doing it in a really kind of a friendly, constructive way, especially when you're supposed to be running into November. Aren't we already supposed to be running, moving, going higher? That was the rationale. It's a completely different setup than a year ago. So kind of miss a year ago. But now, is this a dud? And I'm going to just I'm going to hold it here, guys. I'm not, not jumping any shark just yet, but I will say this, that if I was looking for targets in case there was something that did violate these lows, it's nowhere near here. And so I'm going to watch that closely. I think we really need to get to Tuesday and hold here. If we don't hold, let me throw out some levels, some real concrete levels for you guys to just kind of put in your hat. I think that's going to be under 107. Definitely, if it's like under 106, we got a real problem. Hate to say it. The thing that maybe has changed, shifted is a better word. We go to the daily, just in the last, really it's 48 hours, guys. Since not even 48. But the daily that was trying to get some momentum above the 50, peaked out, rolled back over. So for Bitcoin, we're here at 107. HSI as well, back under the 50. I mean, it was 10 days ago that hey, can we get above there? Not even, like a week ago. It was like the first signs of maybe some recovery. All of this says you're going to need more time, and we're back to that. You're going to need more time up here. And time usually eats that price. If you're not moving, if you're not trending, okay, whatever that trend is, it's going to eat at price. And so here's our weekly. And again, I'm just watching this last 4 months of consolidation since that last trigger. What would be the best thing for us to get? A weekly oversold. Are we anywhere there? No. And I just don't like the look. I feel like we've given this enough time. We've been sitting here for how many weeks? 8 weeks? Maybe 16 weeks of trying to break the 111, 115, 120, 125. Where is 155? Where's 160? And what has to happen before we see that? And again, I think we're going to have to get oversold, guys. Either give me something demonstrative in terms of a major turnaround, or get some weekly levels registering. And they're not there. I would say this again. I want you guys to look at this over the weekend. It's kind of a big deal, and it's a secondary kind of breakdown on the weekly that let's say we leak out over the weekend, which I think is really possible. We start leaking 107, 106. Then it's kind of then just starts going right back to 100. And that would eat into the entire scenario where I've been saying all along, I thought everything would be done. I thought crypto would be done by the end of the year. I thought January at the latest. And I said this last time, we'll look at NASDAQ and the big tech. But we're going to come into a retracement event soon. And I know I've probably been one of the more bullish people out there. Been way in front of this move, guys. Semiconductors, everything. I think we're almost at some limits that we have to respect. And maybe Bitcoin's the same deal. Not to FUD up your Thursday pre-Halloween party, but I'm giving this enough time. We've been up here, we're about, oh heck, I don't know. We're like 8-9% off the all-time high, 10%, something like that, at the recent low. We can saying 102.5 forever and, break out at a 111. I'm not saying anything changes in terms of this kind of perspective of what you're looking at in this kind of uptrend that has been really since the low. I mean, that's your whole path forward. But it might be shaping up that, hey, we want to tap the lower end of the channel, or we want to get weekly oversold before we can do something else. It really should have not turned down in the last 10 days, 2 weeks. We should actually already be pushing kind of up here, 125, 130-ish. Put you on alert. Okay. Again, doesn't like kill your long-term Bitcoin dreams. It's just more of saying, where's the next jump on point? And that same jump on point, we've seen it 3 times this cycle. Maybe even 4, because we could argue maybe that is 1, 2, 3 with a double dot, 4, and then 5. Maybe one more time. Just keep an eye on it, guys. I don't want to just keep. I'm not somebody that's going to spit out levels that are not relevant to the immediate 30 bar kind of window. Keep an eye on that. Right now, 4-hour patterns, not much. A couple of some levels from the past here. Hold on, let me remove all these. It's really more like 111. So critical levels are 110. Couple of 4-hour patterns, but nothing here to the right. So keep an eye on that. Again, if you're expecting much more than, say, something like this, where there's our 4-hour new resistance at like 114.5. Hold on, bear with me. And then on the other side here, looking at a couple dots of just generally 108, open bar triggers like 110, and it's just has been kind of a bad look for the last week. Very little recovery, and I would say even this, if you were hoping that washout, this was going to be some kind of a head and shoulders bottom, you're losing time. Time is essential, and I think when we're looking heads to the sky, and it's not set up yet, or it's just not, it's a dud. Right now, it's a dud. And it's still going to be a dud, I think, till we get bigger triggers, or even simple things like, okay, come back next week and turn around the daily situations, which both of them have rolled over in the last, like I said, 36 hours. It changed the game of the prior 3 weeks. Let's look at Ethereum, because a lot of people are talking very positively about Ethereum, and I'm looking for this lower retest, and here it is. It's a type 2 return, guys. We had that bat pattern off the top. You guys know that this has been kind of the play since the top at 47. Well, now we're back down for a type 2, and that's 35. And now we're getting there. So again, look at the last 3 days that follow through down. Ethereum is something at 4,500. We were kind of in awe. Is it going to break out? And I've been waiting for some kind of retracement. Well, this would be it, but it's still lower. Ethereum finished the bat pattern. Go to the type 2. That as low as 31.31 is the hop. And the bigger targets are like 34.90, 3,500. Currently 37.75. So yeah, what's going on, chat? You guys are kind of straggling in. Get some coffee, get an afternoon lunch, settle in. We'll look at some charts, harmonic pattern levels. and catch a pre-Halloween update. Like it's been an amazing, I would say year, but even since August, late August, guys, for stocks and markets in general, it's been pure fire, and we reached a lot of targets for crypto. Everything that it hit early August, mid August, has led to zero again, and then the rest of them, the other 99% of crypto have been kind of, I think they've been buried. So we have to be super selective here. I think we stick on Bitcoin. It's still a Bitcoin cycle, but the patterns have just been flat out solid. And I look at where we are long term, given Bitcoin enough time, Ethereum with a bearish crab, or we got Solana here on the weekly. Again, this is what we do. And we're going to respect what this is. There's the daily butterfly, but the weekly, again, here I'm ready to call that as a full-on type 2 reaction, a reversal, ready to go. The only problem that I have with this setup is that the confirmation came in early, but guys, software generated the T2 on that bar, 227.26. That was the return move we've been waiting for all year. And it got up there, and then the next week was bearish with a breakdown, and then, a double. This is big stuff. Right here, just respecting what it's doing at the levels, price action wise, that's first stop. Okay, and maybe you're not even ready to pull the trigger at 227 on that candle because it's so strong, but by the next week rolling over, no follow through, that's an early sign. Second week, and then third, fourth week, a couple of extra weeks consolidation at 227, 230, now down for the dump. Take out some lows and you go. I mean, I really under 166, you go back all the way to target 2. And at that point, what are you doing? At that point, what you're doing. That's the Solana story. If I'm just reading the pattern, I turn off everything. I stop watching crypto Twitter. Okay? I would say that's a type 2. That's got a job to do to go to target 2. And until then, or I see an oversold trigger that may materialize before one of those targets, that's the play. It's 166 minimum. So be aware of that. I think let's respect the patterns. People are looking for that bull run, and maybe it comes, but after this retracement. The rest of crypto it's a different place than 4 years ago, for sure. But there's Solana. Okay, other ones like, don't get me started on Cardano, but I think it's good to look at Cardano as kind of the beta version of the big cap, where I think this chart was busted all the way when it broke 75. Okay, but down here and what has transpired in the last month, especially with these candles that, those are legit. I mean, that was massive crash candles, but that's only a starting point. The other thing that I mentioned is that, since that crash was so confusing, and a lot of people have kind of asked me questions, how do you handle that from a pattern level or just standard support resistance levels, whatever it is. I've said this before. If you were thinking that's a bullish setup, you better have confirmation to trigger off of whatever that was, quite frankly. And for Cardano, that confirmation is down at like 43 cents, where you should be able to capture that. I mean, the rest of this Fugazi nonsense is like, it just is not worth your time. And you go to the daily, you can break this down where we had a Gartley that did the 1-2. Because listen, they all they all have the 1-2, right? No matter what the again, we'll talk about this Thursday, guys. Next Thursday, we're going to do a strategy session, a little more structured, kind of a step-by-step thing, and look at major markets going into January. It'll be a kind of a follow-up from a few sessions we've done, but we'll just do it here. Target 1, that's the type 1, goes to target 1, got rejected all the way back down. But again, why do we look for confirmation? In case we get craziness like that. We don't, if it's a real type 2, you're going to get the dot, some kind of green line, and development where you know that takes, it's more than just 1, 3, or even 5 bars. It's, 10, 15 bars of development. What'd it do? It failed. This has failed. That's failed the hop. And for Cardano, seriously? Like, we see this trade under 59 this weekend. Look out. I mean, this has got like under 50 written all over it. So just be aware, guys. That's been kind of the sour note of the month, and the fact that we've done zero, absolutely zero progress here, tells me that this stuff is, do I say it? I won't even say, I'll keep it PG-13 here, but this is not a place to be fishing. Okay, this is like going to your favorite fishing hole and someone just dumped a bunch of Roundup into your favorite fishing pond. And now all the fish are toxic, or most of them. I mean, you've got support down here, but the way that I feel after just staring at this stuff for the last 2 weeks, really, if that's a legit bar, and it came back and kissed all of this support again, the past patterns matter. The fact that they're algo generated and they define the levels and they're all overlapping each other here. Shark, XA, BAT, XA, 3940, hop levels like 20, 28, 29, 30-ish. That's the real lane. That's the real range. Cardano's 60 cents right now. The real range is 40 cents. Puh. Let's go. Let's go. Let's look at the total. Let's look at total 3. And then I'll take the shills. Please prove me wrong. Show me something in this space that I should be looking at. I'm totally there. Total 3. And here's the other thing, guys. In reality, we're a scratch off of all-time highs, especially from where we came. And I'm looking at things like this, the daily back-to-back nonsense here. Okay, we did the 1 and the 2. But now we keep printing these kind of overbought. Look, that's overbought at 118, 120. And then a secondary lower reading. For me, that's where it gets interesting, and maybe that's something I need to highlight in our session next week. All right, you guys know the patterns, okay, and what the software does. It automatically differentiates, illustrates the patterns, the entry points, the hop level, targets. But the other thing is the confirmation. Now, there are some small realities that are real, that are relevant, where we can just intuitively look at, all right, you've got a bunch of overbought yellow dot confirmation here. That's what that means. Red arrow, mean down. But the fact that we have secondary, and then here's a lower reading for the first time in a long time. Last time we had a lower secondary reading for the first time was, you got to go all the way back here, early 2025. That's what that means. So let's get on it here. Let's just kind of embrace it, as they say. Just embrace the suck, because that is something where it's against what the common narrative is, and just say, all right, Where's the next confirmation have to be? This would have to get oversold, guys. That's just it. For me to expect that to turn around at any point, that has to get oversold. And we're breaking under the 50. Again, this changed in the last 36 hours. Since the close Tuesday night, okay, we kind of rolled over, and then yesterday and now today, that's a big deal. Breaking under the 50. This is amplified RSI. Okay, amplified RSI, that's our proprietary RSI, harmonic RSI, however you want to think about it. Bottom one is HSI, harmonic strength index. Both of those, where are they going? They broke the 50. I would want to see that down, get oversold, and give you an inflection. That's just not going to stop until you do so. And then I'm going to just highlight this whole wick here, because I do think this whole wick, be aware of it. Again, not what I think people want to go into the weekend on. You know, I want everybody to have a fun Halloween, be safe, get lots of candy, send me your Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Because, you know, that's basically what I feast on. And peanut M&Ms. I'll leave an address in the link and a link. But this is what we're faced with. Whatever that shakeout wick was, okay, can we come back down in like half of it? We're coming back into this area. And until that happens, you can look at it this way. It's down. And look for that retrace to continue until we can print some kind of arrow in here or here. Maybe up on the top side. Closer to there. But it's just down 3.5% today. Okay, and I will say this, by definition, you know, this would be like a tertiary confirmation against the type 2 where you just resume it. So I think this is if you want to go short, Victoria's saying she didn't get out of the short. I know. I don't know what that was, Victoria, but I hear you. But I think you're going to get another shot. And it's against the common narrative, isn't it? I mean, everyone's saying Bitcoin, although I know Saylor kind of curtailing some of his targets. He was saying like 250, 300. Now he's saying what, 150 by the end of the year? Regardless, this thing going down and with this direction behind it eats into critical time. And we'll take it into where it's October 30. We have to simply close it down for the month. And here's the candle. You know, the other big consideration that everyone should be taking a look at, if you haven't yet, what's the monthly candle looking like across the board on all of these, wick and all? Wick and all, because it's going to be the first, you know, big kind of breakdown of a 3-bar range, really since April. And then this larger failure. I mean, it's certainly, guys, it's a failure at 1 trillion. Okay, and you just kind of clip your tops here. So for me, you got some more work to do. You're gonna whatever this range was that was developing, you're gonna take it into next week, and then I'll look for what possibilities could come together. Again, I'm reaching here. I'm reaching here for where are the downside possibilities, and got nothing yet. There you go. That's a 4-hour chart. I mean, the obvious 960, 950-ish, currently 985. Couple others. Yeah, it is. You know what the hot garbage is, though? What's up, Carthago? You know, the hot garbage is the other 98.9%, really. And again, I think it's I'll just show you the kind of some of the poster children of it. You know, the graph and algo and all of those that we've just been kind of saying all year long. They just keep making new lows, zero progress. I mean, look at whatever that was. I mean, that crab. Can we really take that crab seriously? This is a big 1618 throwdown. I mean, not really, but if I was just reading it and I had no idea this was all-time new lows, and I was just looking at that chart, I would still say type 1, reaction, and that's, you get the T1 designation, and now type 2 for the return. Yeah. Guys, get listen, what you want to do is send your trading username to HPC at SR-analyst. Okay? Send your trading username and get set up with the 2-week trial. I'm going to give away one 30-day license for the first person that types in HPC 30 right now, and you just connect with me on the Discord. You send me your full name, trading username, and email, and I'll set you up. I'm going to pop the Discord link in the chat. Great to see it. Great. Mr. Ghost, how appropriate. Happy Halloween. You win. Good job. You got to hit me up on the Discord, okay? Over there. There's the link. Everyone else that wants to join Discord, get it there. So that's the graph, guys. And again, some of the other well-known favorites that I think are vulnerable. You look at Doge, and I've been saying this for a while that I thought that really 19 cents wasn't an area that Doge is just vulnerable. And this is Coinbase. I think Coinbase they cleaned up or edited their price action not to reflect such drawdowns. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But I think what Doge is showing us, it's a type 2. And that type 2 almost hit perfectly. It's more like 14 cents. You're currently 18. And if it busts this, here's the other thing at stake with Doge, and a lot of these that are at this point, okay, you're going to break down, or if you do break down, and I would say 17, 16.5 or whatever, Doge is going to start to kind of lose this uptrend from the last 2 years. And that basically makes this whole thing done. It would kind of be rationalized like there's your recovery move on Doge with a bat to the 886 and you don't come back. I mean, if this was a bat pattern, and again, this is why we look at markets and price action and frame it out like that, because the whole thing is an argument. If that's a type 1 and it went to target 2, it is. And target 2 down here, I'll show you that in a second, is somewhere around 18 cents. Where's the confirmation? The confirmation wouldn't really, a yellow dot, some stabilization is not till like 12.5, 13 cents. I don't think this has really broken down just yet, but really close to triggering a bleed out. The other point about this is that the all-time 618, I mean, that's your target too, and that's like 20 cents. Losing 20 cents on Doge is a big deal. Big deal. I send that out to Pro the Doge. I hope at some point he doesn't ride it all the way back down. If any of you know who that guy is, you know the story. And that's a classic, that guy's story. A couple others. Guys know I like Binance Coin. I think it is a great trend. Longer term, it is a difference than most of these, but we're ready for a retracement. And I would look for Binance Coin to do some kind of all-time 382 here. So we had big progress. We're looking for bigger things from Binance Coin eventually, but right now, come on back, do a 236, which is like there, 1070, but I'm more in favor of all-time 382. And that's a ways away. That's like 900. I know, these are some new numbers for you guys. These are some new numbers. But I do think we've given it enough time and the proper next opportunity, the next jump on point would be on a retrace at a minimum with an oversold reading. I mean, Binance coins, if you want to be in crypto, that's one of the places to look. But what's it doing? Gave us an inflection 2 weeks ago, and now I think really it's just started. We've been watching this for the last really like 2 weeks on Binance Coin. Huge move up in September, right to some big target levels here. 1902, it was like 1200. And that's probably it for now. Right there is 1902. That was like 1190. And our 1618, that was the whole kind of argument, which was 1030 to 1180. That's good for now. I mean, I really am good with that. Great stuff. Let's get another oversold reading. And again, I think this is where being patient with the process is gonna serve you in the long run. Okay, positioning for stuff like this and that. And I say all of this because the narrative right now is looking for a screaming move higher into the year's end. That should have started this month. What did we get? We got an inflection that's now following through. So be aware of that. And again, I just think when we get those kind of retraces, they open us up for bigger opportunities to come. They're not up here, they're down here. Anything else crypto-wise? You guys, let me know. Let me know. I think looking at stuff like Coinbase, pretty interesting for what that's done or not done so much, because we're back up here this weekly, big weekly pattern. Okay, it's been a interesting late summer run where we had the type 2, okay, and then we had a counter HSI. That is a minimum retracement. I think that's exactly the kind of thing I would be looking for in something like Binance Coin or a lot of these that got overextended and they hit top end targets and they come back and they give you a counter signal for more consolidation at a minimum, and I think that's what it is. But I will say this. I think Coinbase is a type 2 now. And I really want to watch it. Any close under 330 is a problem. Currently 338. Not looking for longs here. I'm actually looking for this thing to break down. And it is really because of this. We're here on the weekly. It might not be official until next week, but watch what it does at the 50 level. But we break that this week, next week. I think Coinbase is going to take a lot more time going lower, doing more of a retrace off of the pattern. I mean, there's a clear pattern there all time, guys. Just respect it. And if you wanted to go long, you have to just wait for stuff like, minimum 4-hour oversold areas, which is like 320 is the last time we've been oversold. And again, this is in this kind of environment when things are really flying, it's important to line up those longer term oversolds as the ideal area to jump on it. As much as these have been running, we continue to get great pullbacks. I mean, there was the August dot. You had that one failed, but that worked. That one worked. Then the bearish one was there. So again, a lot of this stuff that I'm looking, go dot to dot and use that as the confirmation generally. The pink dot excuse me, the pink diamond is brand new, guys, and I just wanted to highlight again, everyone gets it. If you have not uploaded that for some reason, go to indicators. It's invite only, where all the indicators, all these modules comprise the total software, so you can load them all. Next week, I will have the pattern profiler out. I'll let you know about that. I've been holding off on that because it's not exactly where I want it just yet, but I think next week by Thursday, probably put that in your hands. But all of this, and then the HSI arrows is the one you want to click on. Basically, what it is kind of a combination of both things that we look at, and I look at it as a stamp. You know, look at the exact price bar. You know, just plug something. Look at right in the middle of the bar and plug that to the right. I still use the dot as the confirmation entry and as the trigger. And for Coinbase here, that's not back till we retest here. That's about 325. So again, take a look at that on the software, especially for new folks. Take a day or two as well. Just get comfortable with how it defines overbought, oversold instances. And that's really what we're looking for, to go from segment to segment. Coinbase was this on the daily. And we still would need a green bar on the daily to generate another bullish dot. You're not there yet. You're going sideways. A couple others you guys want to look at before I go to NASDAQ. I'll start a little back. Is BTC, is that dropping? Did that fall apart? Yeah, there's 107. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, we started here. We were 108 and change. Now we just dropped 1,000. I don't know, what you guys are doing. Didn't have to put fuel in the fire, yet here it is. You guys want to look at Ethereum Classic? Well, we looked at Ethereum. I'll look at that. Again, Ethereum Classic. Really, I liked it structurally. I liked the long-term chart. I liked the idea behind it. Does nothing. Did nothing. I had a lot of this back in the 2020 cycle. I took a couple shots in this last year. Nada. And there you go. Gartley on the daily. Confirmation. It's a type 2. Everything at 1524. But what happened? It was Tuesday. This has been the problem, that Tuesday night we got a whole bunch of daily overbought counter HSI signals like that. And we rolled down the 50. I mean, again, worst look you could possibly have on a type 2. Hold on, let me bring this up. There you go. Let me make that clearer. There you go. Now you're at right back the confirmation level trigger. That's like 15.28. You're 15 bucks. The weekly, a lot of patterns down here. Look at this weekly type 2. Where's the dot? I mean, that's been the last amazing 3 years of action. And it had the type 1, I think, last year. That was one of the things I played. And I think I just took it to target 2. But 1 and 2, regardless, you would still need a yellow dot. Again, this is at all-time lows. Practically. Maybe not all-time lows. But 4-year lows. Back at 2021 levels. Hop levels 991. Again, I think there's zero opportunity until we had some clear triggers. And again, I'm trying to get you guys to realize that this is going into a retrace phase on the larger cap top 10 crypto. So what are these going to do? Yeah, it's gone. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate that. Is Sui still trending? That's a good question. 226. I know we got a bunch of numbers at 208 in the daily. I would say that's trending, but you're threatening, really threatening like you were back in April, March, April, and then the daily, even in that shakeout, 208, 205, 202. That's where all the levels are. And it's kind of crazy, but we never got. Look, we were looking for 308 the whole time. It hit. When it hit, it sailed past. So really the first place we would start looking on that was 250, 252, and just not a lot of development there. And this has been one that I was like, yeah, okay, this is still trending. Retracement mode, but it's still longer term trending. I just think you're going to have to come back. Anything that has this kind of a type 1, type 2 on the software exclusively, I would wait for the 2. And that's back at $2. Let that be a type 2. And again, I don't know. Just there's I think better plays across the board. The other one was LCX, Lino. Man, I know you ask every day about this, and I'm going to say the same thing. You're back at lows. You're back at where you were a year ago after a crazy move. I mean, that's ancient history, whatever that was, to go from 7, 8, 6, 7, 7, 8-ish to 39. Bang. Now you're back here. Really nice pattern. Normally, I would say that's a great place to start looking because everything you have here on a pattern as a trade opportunity, all right, is ideal. There's the pattern. Completes there structurally. First green confirmation there. It retests, but finally we get the yellow dot. That's your first place. After the dot, you start looking in here. The trigger area 10.7. Okay, you retested it. Still lower. I mean, you didn't even have it. You retested it straight down, no green bar. The only thing that is the filters out whether or not it's an execution for me is looking at where's amplified. Is that above 50 or below? We start looking at it here. It's moving, but it's not out of the 50 level. That's I've been going over that in a lot of webinars, that especially for new folks that get the software. You have to understand it's not one point. One point defines the completion, but there's a process. And if we don't have that internal, what I call internal development coming together, where the individual price action and the relative price action is strengthening, I mean, that's what this is. At this point, you're oversold, but what it is this price action is at its weakest going back like 30 bars. And that has to basically get quieter, turn around, strengthen individually before you can expect a larger trend change. And this stuff, that LCX and all, LCX is the 98% club, 99% club. It means zero. I will show you the Zcash. They should all be like Zcash, but they're not. And who knows what happens here. I mean, Zcash is, there's a 10x. I haven't seen too many 10x's. There you go. But you're now overbought. Weekly close will seal the deal. And that would be all. That's, for me, if you were long Zcash, no matter what, and can people saying, all right, this could be a next Bitcoin or whatever. Oh, how many times have we heard that? You know, ABC, treat that as like a type 1 886, and your 382 is 210. Maybe not that because we have to take it off the top. 240-ish, but that is an 886 failure, and your 382 reaction incoming is like 235, guys. So that's it. Oh yeah, no, there's no, look, that's a parabolic move, guys. That's definition of parabolic. And it can't get through the 886, and we already see it. It would, if it was going to go higher, it would have demolished the 886. Not to mention, again, like a lot of things we have seen, we just project the scale. All right? The Zcash, we would have thought maybe 2 months ago, at best, it would be an 886 recovery candidate, which was like 73. All right, maybe price discovery. There's your 1618. 111. No, absolutely destroyed it. Parabolic, 3618. And that was 211 to 220-ish. And that's about it. I mean, even though that's gone higher, much higher, 140, 50 higher than the 3618, that's it. And in terms of time, maybe even just better on the monthly chart. Okay, that's a one-off. That is a one-off. That's the exception. There aren't too many others. We looked at one last time, but really disappointing, guys. I wish a lot of these AI coins and all this stuff actually were a real market. Look at FET. FET's a total failure. This is what a total failure looks like, guys. No dot. Retesting HSI. You're now 23 cents. And again, since the last bearish HSI at 80, it's just down to zero. Okay, here's another pattern throwing down a 1618. But how incredible is that? You guys know I've been kind of lamenting the damage that was done with the big throwdown flash candles, and what it did for any market that really had zero behind it. It exposed it. It exposed the fact there were no longs here. There was no longs under 50 cents. There was no longs down to 26. You had a bounce, and then we're back down here to the 20s. Oh, get out of town. Don't know. I mean, I can't keep coming back to these and then try to paint a different picture other than what's happening, which is total collapse. Let's move forward here. Yeah, we can jump over really quick. Come back to futures, NASDAQ futures. Here's the big deal. NASDAQ futures off 220. Pull up your 4-hour chart. We'll go extend electronic trading hours. This will be the pattern we'll be surfing for at least the next month. And we just hit it. 4-hour deep crab. Okay. The 1618, 26,147, that's a big deal. All your confirmation hit yesterday. Okay, and that was like 26,250, 26,300 tops. Actually, the yellow dot, and here, this is a good one. All right, here is a really nice sequence that defines a trade. All right, you're running the software. It doesn't matter if it's a 30-second, 5-minute, weekly, daily, whatever. This is what we're looking for every time. T1 designation, the pattern completes. Where's confirmation? That's the yellow dot. So the whole trade starts on the next bar. And you're looking for this type of behavior. retest it, reject it, and take it to target 1. It's a T1 target 1 with the confirmation. And for now, we're going to take this pattern into next week. So I just going to highlight this. I posted that this morning to my crew, actually yesterday afternoon, that was relevant. And let it do the reaction. I mean, like the rest of them. All right, we can't be. Look, I've been almost too bullish. All right, I've thrown out the 26.5 target for all year, or at least really since April. Bitcoin 102.5, 111, 160, whatever, those big 100K targets. And now NASDAQ, I mean, almost 26.5. I still think we'll go higher because those daily, weekly 1618s are a bit higher. But for now, let's deal with this NASDAQ deep crab. There's the confirmation. The trade was 26.3. And the other way to think about it is we give it 30 bars. How long will it take? Well, at least till we get to target 1. We're going to take it into like Tuesday of next week. That is a totally framed out harmonic pattern trade where the pattern goes to a trade opportunity. And I'll look for that. You know, the only thing that I'm going to follow through with today and tomorrow, how far does this continue? Because amplified hitting the 50 level, that seals the deal. And we'll just follow that down. I mean, to oversold, or especially HSI. HSI was triggering yesterday, though, about 2 o'clock, right around when what's-his-face? Good old Powell, our buddy. Yeah, you can't cut rates, but, you know, credit cards can charge you 27%. Right. A couple other ones. Roblox, sure. Rivian, yeah, okay. A couple more individual stocks. Netflix, okay. Why not? What about, so if the Qs are going to do that, or futures going to do that, what are the Qs going to do? 630. It's been a big target for us. Again, just up here, there you go. Daily oversold on the Qs at 630. Amplified's oversold too. I just think it's another pause, guys. So what started the day literally the day after this 1,000-point down day. I mean, amazingly, QQQ was down 21 that day. That was a one-off. Well, you're done for that. Can we just come back in and have a 382? I think quite easily. You guys were asking me on Tuesday, well, do you think these gaps get filled? Yeah, I mean, they'll definitely get filled. And it could very well be on this type of a move. Take this into next week. Like your 382 is on the first gap fill, 618. Even lower, like 612. And that's fine. That's I just look. One of the things I'm going to talk about next Thursday is one, becoming aware of the levels with the software because we're defining the framework, but two, as a trader, being able to wait for market opportunities when they come to you. And it's stuff like that on the daily, right? We get the daily to pull back, or even at a minimum 4-hour time frame. And I think everyone, or if you can't wait on a 4-hour time frame for the next long opportunity, then you got to look at what you're doing. But this is a big part of how we'll frame out what I call the jump on point for the next year or two. Positioning here, okay, and here and here, to ride it to some kind of overbought signal or pattern. Overbought HSI or DOT, and use that, just that simple continuation trigger going forward as we go higher. This is, the pink diamond, guys, is brand new. Okay, I just released it like 3 weeks ago on the software, and it's really been helpful to define the cluster of points. Again, treat it like a stamp. I use it mostly in trend directional trades. That's been an uptrend, pretty steady, really since April. Look at that as kind of like, all right, the retrace potential continuation is there. Even in the bearish instance, what we had going into last year, patterns, confirmation. Okay, take your time just to become visually aware of it, right where we are right now at a pause point. And that's how I would interpret this immediate action. What's that? That just triggered. Okay, this is regular trading hour. Literally that HSI triggered 2 hours ago. So if you see that retrace, because we have stuff like, again, Nvidia and other major markets. Nvidia made the reach for 215 yesterday, which was the top end. All right, remember this from Nvidia just in the last 30 days or so? We had a type 1 butterfly, goes down for target 1. And the reaction was over. We were looking for the return to like 193. Blew through it on earnings. I'll show you what 215 was, but right there, today, first time we're seeing some overbought action since that other trigger signal. So again, use that as the kind of how we'll go through this week to week on this massive uptrend. I still think we have a ways to go, but we have to highlight where things go too far too fast. Okay, Nvidia, what's it doing here? I mean, it's at the 1902, almost taking it out. Again, Nvidia's been the 1618 right there, which is 192, 3-ish. And then the 1902 is 213, 212. That hit exactly. Start watching this for maybe just a stalling sideways action. I think that's a good range where 212 and then 193 is now support. Just a pause. But the whole thing is played out. I mean, this is the other consideration with a lot of the scenarios we've talked about. They've all played out, guys. The big scenarios we have talked about have played out. We got to let Nvidia kind of settle down here. Roblox. Sure. What's up, Wayne? Roblox. Weekly. That's interesting. I haven't looked at this in a while. Wow. Yeah, I haven't looked at that in a while. Back at the 886. That's what that is. Software is not kicking out the bat structure. I think I know why. You might say, well, where's the bat here? If we go X and then A is like there, then where's the B point? Is it there? At a 45? Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of ugly, but that's what it is. So 128 is that's the big 886. You're in a type 1. Also, again, maybe it's on a monthly. Did it monthly? There should be a pattern there. I think that's sufficient enough. I don't know, but I would draw that as a weekly bat. Weekly bat with a type 1 in play. Again, if this is the T1, guys, this is the process. All right, pattern completes here. We have a second dot. Basically, all of that says, 128 ish, maybe even as low as 124. That's the range. And you go to a target 1. I mean, target 1 is generally just a 382 retrace. Yeah, that's still lower. 101, 102. You see how this is shaping up, guys? They did the big run. Let it come in. And if you're looking for an opportunity here, wait for some kind of oversold signal, and you're far from it. That's what I'm digging into. I mean, again, even as stuff like, I'll say Google, absolutely amazing. And that one hit some big targets. So I really, a lot of these that were mind-blowing. Here's Google. Great earnings. I mean, just ready to take over as like a top. I think that's going to be a top 3 tech really soon. 1902. No, that's not it. What is it? It's this. It's an all-time 2618. 2618. Yeah, that was 270-ish. 260. Sorry. To a 314. Like 295. I bet that hit in the pre-market. I'm pretty sure that did. 295 was the top end. Yeah, we hit that. In the pre-market was 300. This a prime example. Love the stock. One of the strongest trending tech there out there. It has reached the targets. All right. So what if this thing is just it for now? What do we expect? I mean, at least go into a 30-day pause here. And the general level is 260 to 290. But targets reached. I mean, again, we're going to go into a new monthly candle on Monday. That will change a lot of these signals. So, I just think that's another one where we're not there quite yet, but we're close enough to say, let's start thinking a little too far, too fast. A little too much for now. And can we get a retracement, a 4-hour retracement, in which we had just, look, big first pop, and there you go. Like 240 was the last jump on point. That's overdone, overcooked. A couple others. Russell, IWM. Well, Russell's got a huge pattern up at the weekly. And again, we're putting in some confirmation. It's not official till tomorrow. There's the bat. Our top end. Like if this is going to break out and do a 1618, it has to bust through the hop. It has to bust through 256 or 246. Let's put that on a daily watch list now. Because you're up here against some major levels, and this did catch my eye when I was looking at this earlier. We're almost at the 50. That would be the first stop. So a bearish week next week, we'd have to start looking at it the same way we were looking at it a year ago with that break. Early. This stuff's early, but again, this stuff matters where it's happening. Rollover, okay, that's a type 2, and we're right in the zone. Now, I wouldn't even consider this a trade. It's still a pattern, but we have 1 and 2 HSI signals. We have 3. There's another one there. We're going to need actually one more red candle to seal the deal next week on the Russell, but it's close. Like the trade opportunity, if we wanted to assume that the Russell's going to retrace, it's not till next week. But I would be looking there. Still early, but closer than it was for sure. We'll see. One or two more. Reddit. What's up, Floyd? Reddit's another one that worked out really well this summer. But what's going on now? Reddit was daily, had this. Remember this big daily structure? We went over that last time. Okay, now we're back here. Another HSI daily. Okay, this should hold at 202. It retesting that trigger, but amplified rolled back over. That's the only problem with it. I like the idea. I think Reddit is still trending. At what point, though, are we going to stabilize and then keep going? Remember this. This is really what we're assuming. Longer term uptrend to continue. But I think just look ballpark 200 for right now. It's not that bad. I mean, again, it could be worse. The weekly is oversold. So maybe 192 to retest that. Close. It's not a bad idea. I mean, again, we're looking for retraces in well-established trends like that. But what needs to happen here on the weekly? Again, we can't assume real acceleration until we get above the 50. That's HSI, and just look at the last time we did that. All right, last time we busted the 50 level was there. It was like May, early May. First time. That's kind of a mandatory ingredient before we can look for any kind of real continuation. What else we got? Oh yeah, Rivian. I know this story. Rivian's just, again, we got to put it in these class of stock and crypto that get a lot of attention, but the chart really doesn't warrant it. There you go. Long-term downtrend, we've broken out, but every time you break out, you register an overbought reading, and that one was 3 weeks ago. Guys, I would rather have something that's like this, okay? Where you break out, you're here, you've established a couple of lows, and then you break out, then the retrace. Kind of like, a failed pattern, or go to like a 1618 and then come back. It's just not there. I mean, it's not. And I see that so many times. Yeah, rum. Well, rum is better. Rum is one. We keep looking at that. We need a weekly dot. And 785 was the minimum, $7. A little overspill there. But the weekly, give me a dot. Weekly is like this. Needs a green arrow. It actually needs needs a green candle. That's it. And your weekly is still sideways. Still sideways. I mean, there's other stuff that has made progress, but just not ready to accelerate. I'll bring up TAN, solar ETF. All right, this is down today. You guys know I like this solar, and I'm watching any retracement. I'd love to get a sizable retracement, because this is the kind of condition I'm talking about where we're off of the pattern, we're above the 50, and here we are 4 or 5 months above the 50 trending. That's just way better development than anything else I've seen. Couple more. What's up, Bull? PayPal? Yeah, they had that announcement last week, right? 64. It's another one. I mean, it really, since that bat pattern, this thing is, I was long last year. I was long down here and never did the full recovery and right back down to target one. Again, here is it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great idea. But when we continue to see stuff like this, here's the general area I would look, 64. It's a target too. It bounces off of there and then runs right into some counter bearish HSI signals. And then, guys, we're spending months not able to get above 73, or it's just not ready. It's just not ready. Yeah, you need to make much bigger progress out of the 50 level. There's a few of them. I mean, Intuit is another one. It's a big one. Used to be a high flyer. Look at this. Talk about ideal behavior on this bat, type 1. There's confirmation, the 2. Is that an opportunity on the weekly? I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. And you got some patterns lower, like 575. LAC, yeah, that's another one where talk about development and then explosion. Despite the pullback, you're still in a 30-month window for target 1. So I don't think much changes. Maybe we got an opportunity on the daily, but look, 30 months to the right is there. So LAC's going to take time. What was the daily there? Yeah, the daily was, we hit some target. Yeah, it was just some upside targets. But it was, look, you went from 2 to 8 in 4 weeks, 5 weeks. You can retrace 50% of that, no problem. Ideally, we would get a dot here next week. First sign of anything was about 5 days ago. But we need 2 more bullish days. Yeah, keep an eye on that one. What else, guys? Oracle for Roy. Yeah, Oracle was surprising that we didn't hold this. So, we're almost there for a new HSI, I guess, on the daily. I took a shot there and did not work out. But I still like the long-term uptrend here. Yeah, this one, yeah, look. Hold on. Where's the 382 on this? There, we're still in that inside candle. 382 on Oracle. You're there. 250. I like Oracle. I mean, I just think this is wherever this settles out for the next oversold reading, but 260, 245, 250, I just think this thing will continue. It's just insane. It was up 300% off the April low. Not close to triggering anything yet. It will. It will. I mean, again, these are not. It's like Nvidia. It went as far as you go for now. You got to just give it a little more time for a deeper retrace, I guess. I mean, Google is the other side of that, where that did work out. But even Google, as great as that was, that's probably it for now. Oh, a couple more, and I'm going to go for lunch here. JD dropped. Let's take a look. Not really, man. Well, I mean, hasn't done anything, but it hasn't dropped. And our entry is down here. 32-ish, 30, 31, that shark. Baba is the other one. Yeah, everyone thought that would scream on some China news, but it's a crab headed back up. into the zone here, but it's still a type 1. I mean, there's another, look, beautiful pattern on BABA. And we know the deal. BABA's been this monthly creature the whole time. It's been that monthly crab, and we're target 1. Now, we're above it. But here's the first pattern. Daily pattern. You know, digest that for a while. How long? 30 days. Again, that's just standard kind of the metric. Project it to the right from terminal bar. 30 days. It's in a reaction phase. No matter what. You're 175. And we almost tagged it 2 weeks ago. Again, 155 is still valid for a retest. These are signs, folks. These are the signs. This is, again, you open up the software, you take a look. What's it show you? A big fat bearish pattern. That's probably it for now until we can get to target 1, form another pattern. It'll come. What do I mean by wait for a pullback? I mean, if you wanted to buy BABA, okay, I'd be willing to let the whole thing go to infinity in exchange for waiting for a retest to 155. Or waiting for some kind of oversold trigger, test, stabilization. It's not 175. You know, for me, BABA's like, it's either 167 to 155. That's the general area. I'm not buying here. I mean, you could have taken a shot to make the play back into the zone a week ago, but that's all. It's been an amazing move since April. What I'm saying is the pattern is telling you that's it for now. It's a lot of these. Look, we get deeper and deeper into November here, and these situations continue to present themselves. We have to respect it. Probably hit the relevant upside targets that we're going to hit for now. That's what the patterns are showing us. Baidu was another one on the weekly with patterns down here. And this was a type 1, type 2. And it's over for now. No matter what. The type 1 on Baidu, you guys know Baba and Baidu were the two together, and JD a little bit, but there, type 1, back for the 2, and then target 2. Hit, done with. This is another kind of sequence that we go through. Like, you get to target, you see that it's a type 2 on the pattern, you get to target 2. That's where you start thinking, all right, maybe this is done for now. You get the arrow. That helps to kind of reinforce that whole limit. 130 is probably the max limit for now. And you have been here for the better part of 7 weeks. And again, I think that's it for now. There will be a better opportunity, but it's going to be lower on some kind of oversold reading. What's up, Thales? Yeah, I can look at that. Let's get a couple more and get out of here. Corey's asking about CRO. What is the zone for the entry? There's no entry zone on that. There really isn't. I mean, it busted it. That action busted it for me. Target. That's another one. It can be year-end tax loss selling. All the numbers are lower. We do have confirmation. And again, not a bad idea. I'm not trying to crush you and say, okay, this is not, it doesn't make sense. It is this. You're in a 4-year downtrend. You have this beautiful pattern that hasn't gone anywhere. And then just look at really where the confirmation's coming in for the next shot, which is definitely a retest of last week's candle, but not there yet. And then The simple question I always, if I'm in a zone and I'm looking after confirmation point, has HSI hit the 50 level? Yeah, right there. Okay, but where's the dot? The dot is first time is here, and then you run into it's a harmonic dud, and that's weekly. So you're there. It's like you have a lot of time to make the assessment. You're even sideways for 4 weeks before it rolls back into the zone. Same type of thing here. There's the dot, but are we above the 50 on amplified? Almost, not yet. So if you're swimming down here deep over here, it really doesn't matter if it's 90 or 100 as long as, okay, as your amplified and HSI are going above the 50. And we do that with the pink. That's really what the pink diamond's supposed to mean. And so far it's a dud. I just, it's a situation where you give it more time with yes, there's a possibility to go lower. And at this point in the year, this is a tax loss selling candidate, in my opinion. A couple others. Crocs. I think that had earnings, right? Yeah, Crocs. Crocs is no confirmation. Hold on one second. And again, great one to line up, but where's confirmation? It's not here. And it's 82, 77. That's the problem with these for a lot of people, getting them from a pattern to a trade opportunity, even on a long-term weekly chart, monthly chart. And I'll show you the one that is the Metaplanet opportunity. And MTP Metaplanet. Massive pattern. There you go. But let this kind of be the model, the example of when a pattern is not ready as an opportunity. Because it's really easy to say this is a massive pattern. It was 15, now it's only 3. Target one's 824, but there's nothing here to turn that into an opportunity. Again, this will be stuff we talk about next Thursday. But that's another one. We've talked about this, and I told you we're a few weeks away before anything. One or two more. What's up, Daniel? Accenture. I haven't looked at those guys in a while. What do we got here? I mean, look at that. Amazing. Look at that 886 all time. That was insane. I like the thought because this is, 40 plus percent, almost 50 now, off the all-time high. But there really is not much here. This is, I think it's a great example of something that, what's the pattern looking left? It's a big bearish 886 multi-year failure, taking it to new multi-year lows. Honestly, there is nothing here for me, and that's okay. That's okay. That's kind of like, sticking your nose up at the Brussels sprouts. No thanks. All right, I just don't eat Brussels sprouts. Don't care how you make them. I just don't do it. And that's okay. And that's what these are. I would prefer to line up the stuff that has really clear patterns, trending, a spot where we can go again. What was that? Mara? Mara's the other one. Okay. I think 15 is that point we're looking for, or 17. Yeah, that's it. So Mara, again, another one, guys. And for new folks, let me just highlight this because we've been going on for a while here. I'm about to get out of here, go to lunch. One of the things that's, I think, exciting for new people doing harmonic patterns is it gives them a clue of where it's going, kind of a roadmap, if you will. And a lot of people, they get excited about certain plays. Crypto miners are running. I have to grab something now. And I always say, at what price? What is the right price? For Mara, we've talked about this being multiple patterns, 2150, 22, resistance, let it come back, do the reaction to target one. That will still be the case. But that's a big part of what we do. Being willing to just wait, let the opportunity come to you. As strong as like IREN and HUT and all those other speculative miners, as much as they ran, and it'd be easy to say, all right, let's go Mara, let's go Riot, and I still think we should be thinking like that. It's at the next oversold level, or target one, 1738. Register oversold HSI and go again. We get into that FOMO loco mentality that basically robs us of common sense. Why do you think I created the system? Okay, I had to do it for myself. I had to define all the parameters and break it down where I can look at the markets within a specific period of time where it's going from A to B, and that's the strategy until we get there. That's strategy for Mara and all the other ones. Maybe go for a walk until, but I agree, man. Look, it's also about just kind of understanding where we are in this marathon of a stock market and a crypto market. I mean, crypto market's been disappointing. No shit about it. The long-term prospects of crypto, you give me another 6 or 8 weeks, and I might have a whole lot more four-letter words for crypto. Okay, but the stock market, these massive tech moves that we have been talking about all year, require a marathon perspective. We have gone an insane distance to almost tag all conceivable targets that we have talked about all year. And then within that, we're going to reach points where we just say, okay, I had enough at the all-you-can-eat buffet. I need to take a little break, no matter what happens, based on signals, triggers, levels. Based on the way that I measure the market, I'm happy to say, okay, we've gone too far, too fast for now. We're almost at that point, guys, within a matter of weeks, and we're going to have to be patient to let that thing develop. All right, and I bring your attention to things like the semiconductor index, which has been the way. You guys know, this is how NASDAQ reaches those targets. It's led by the semiconductors, and exactly that is what has happened. That's exactly what has happened, but look where we're at. Okay, we're getting that point. We're there, about to run that 1618. That's there. It's a little bit lower. 1618 on that, and that's a we did hit that. That was 73.50. So we're there on the semis, guys. That's been the number one index. I have said all year long, this is how we get there. Remember, we were like 44, 4,500 saying probably run back to 52, maybe even a hop test. We went 1,300 above that. We're there for now. Even the SOX. 236, 6,400. Okay, again, these are the levels. This is kind of playing the tune here. Target reached, great. Any confirmation up there? Maybe not monthly. What about weekly? Yeah, ballpark it. Daily, so. But from a measured level, we're there for now. Okay, and again, taking a break here is not going to be a big deal. And it's just like, so you guys want gold on the way out. Look, gold, silver, same kind of a thing. Gold got overstretched. All of the numbers, the top end numbers. Our number was 4150. Our big number that we talked about was 4150. Got to 4350. We have this pattern here. I'm okay with it now. You're back at 4K. We're not oversold yet. So maybe a little more work to do. I think the gold longer term play, don't worry about it. We're still on an aggressive uptrend, but this is going to be the first big retracement in a couple of years. I mean, maybe a 382, or even since that explosion, I'd look at it like this. You know, a 236 is, we've talked about like 3,600, 3,800. Almost got there. It's under 4K, but I still think gold's the place to be for the next few years. And I still say our long term target is more like 5,400, but we've hit a lot of minimum levels for now. Let it do the retracement before we go again. Just the market dynamics. What was the other one? TLT. Silver, same deal. You know, that's been okay. Silver's like this, guys. It came off of that 50 change back to 48. I'm pretty impressed. I would still think that the daily needs to come in a little more. Oh, there's a day we did. We got oversold yesterday. Where is that? Hold up. Hold on, let me change my settings here. Here's silver. Where's daily? All right, so we did get over it sold yesterday. There it is. There's HSI. Oh, look at this. That's pretty interesting, but we'll take it to Tuesday. Silver, I still have higher targets. How deep's that going to go? And we don't really assume that's going to do a resumption until we get above the 50. Maybe that's next week. I do like, percentage-wise, silver over gold. But that's a first place to look. That is the kind of the thing I'm talking about. You have the big move. We had levels, all-time 886s, but there's the first HSI. It's like this. Remember, there it is. It's a bat on the monthly. Software's kicking it out. That's the blue line is pending. It's not official until tomorrow, the close. But 886, I would still, let's let that come in. Again, you're at this point with these kind of charts, you're chasing it up a ladder, chasing it up a pole. You got to let that come in a little bit more than it has. Platinum. Well, platinum didn't do anything. You know, platinum. Hold on, platinum futures didn't do anything for years. Yeah, and that's still projecting same kind of a thing. I don't know about that though. I really don't. I think you would be at the all-time 886 on that. Yeah, again, guys, we are just at that point here. We're here where, as I was titling things today, okay, what if we've hit some targets? What if the signals we're generating now are all we're going to get? Again, I'm looking at all of that. Last one, Tesla. Yeah, here's another. Did a check back. Tesla's up here at 448. Sorry, 444. Kind of stalling out. I'd need a dot. That's a weekly, maybe another week or two, but you know, I'm either way, I'm okay with this. Like I think you could have some kind of reaction off of this zone, some kind of retrace. For now, you definitely didn't blast it yet, and you have a daily bat pattern, weekly bat pattern, type 2 stuff, or weekly crab. So a lot of reasons why this would go sideways into a pause for now. Looked like it was going to try to threaten 500. I mean, last week we were up at 465 looking like, all right, we'll make the run to 500, and they couldn't get it through on earnings. So again, it's probably like Bitcoin and the rest of these, it's going to take more time. You expect to see this between like 430 and 470 going forward. Beyond that, the rest of it, guys, gonna have to let it come in. We'll get more opportunities. I just think we're finishing out the month. We're rounding this out. You know, NASDAQ's, where are we? 25,990 down 270 at the moment. But don't forget, we're up 1,000 in like 10 days. I mean, you're up off of that low. You're up 2,000 points. That's just amazing. 2,000 points in 20 full days. So retrace with stuff like that, daily overboughts, yeah. Just want to be clear. All right. New opportunities we'll look at next week. Okay. The rest of crypto, whether or not we put a fork in it or not, I think we'll talk next week. So next Thursday, we will have it out, because I plan to give you guys the real outlook of like a 1 month, 3 month, and then a 12 month. And I think the 1 month, 3 month is going to need some work before we can do anything else after the last 8 weeks we've gone through, let alone the last 6 months. Just be patient with it, okay? Until then, hit me up on the Discord. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. You have any questions? There's the Discord link. And if you want to try the software, you want to try our gold group or whatever, you know how I am. Just DM me. You got questions, I'm happy to answer. Just give me a day to get back to you. All right? People, enjoy your Halloween. Enjoy the weekend. It's a beautiful time of year. Go have some fun. We'll come on back on Tuesday. Until then, as always, guys, go get them. Never stop. See you next time.